Okay, so now when I said I want to click on this login, that means the post request, right? So we'll handle the post request in the views. All right. So make sure this login method is post and the action is correctly pointing to the login URL. Okay. So then what you have to do, you have to handle the post request here. Okay. So let's consider when someone put this username and the password, click on this login, then the request will come here. Okay. So request will actually come to registration form. Let's say form is equal to registration form, and we'll pass the post request into this registration form. Okay. Request dot post. Okay. So now let's again use if form is valid, right? Because the first thing that we have to check is the form is valid or not. Okay. So let's say form dot is valid. Okay. Is valid is actually a function, right? Make sure you put this parenthesis. And if the form is valid, then we first take the username. Username is equal to form dot cleaned data. Okay. Form dot cleaned data. So we use this clean data to get the data from the form. Okay. So if you just want to take the value from the post request, what you do, username equal to request dot post dot get, then you say this, right? Username, right? But this one we use when we take the data from the post request directly, but this one is actually coming from the Django form, right? So that's the reason we use clean data. Okay. Username equal to form dot cleaned data. Okay. So in the clean data, you just say the username. So what this username is, this is nothing but the name attribute of this username field. Okay. Inspect element and go to here. You see name is equal to username, right? Similarly, we have, if you go to inspect password, you can see name equal to password, right? So using this name attribute, we can take the username and password. Okay. Username is equal to request, form dot clean data username, and then password is equal to form dot clean data password. Okay. Now we have the username and password. Then we have to actually check whether these username and password is correct or not, right? So how to check username and password is correct or not? So we have a function called auth.authenticate. Okay. So this authenticate function will actually take username and password, and it will check whether it is correct or not. If it is correct, it will give you the user object. Okay. So if it is the wrong, then it will not give you user object. It will definitely throw you an error. Okay. So it will actually take user name is equal to user name. Okay. And then password is equal to password. Okay. Username equal to username, password equal to password. So first thing you have to import the auth. Auth will come from Django.contrib import auth. Okay. And then if this is true, then it is going to return the user. Okay. Simply say user will take the user from here. Okay. So we got the user now. Let's consider we got the user, and also we'll have to check if the user is not none. Okay. So if the user is not none, let's say auth.login. Okay. Auth.login, login to the request, right? Request comma user. All right. So whatever user it has authenticated, then we can just pass that to the login function. Okay. So then it will be considered as login, and let's say return redirect. Return redirect. Once you're logged in, then you can go to home. Okay. And in the else case, That means if the form is not valid, right, then what you have to do, you have to just say else messages dot error request comma, let's say invalid credentials, okay, invalid credentials, and return redirect back to the login page. Okay, so this is the code for logging in to the user. Okay, so all right, let's try this. Okay, I'll try this. So this is my Django admin, and I'm going to put some random password. Let's see if it works. Login, and you can see invalid credentials. But if I put the correct password, then I should be able to log in. Okay, I am still getting invalid credentials. Okay, so I think there must be something wrong. All right, form is equal to registration form. This should not be a registration form. I'm sorry. You must have noticed while I'm using this registration form. I'm so sorry for that, because this shouldn't be a registration form. It should be authentication form. Okay, it should be authentication form. I used the registration form. Sorry. I'll save this and I'll again. So that was a very very silly mistake. Now let's try to log in. Let me refresh the page first, and let me put the password, my password, and login. Okay, again I got invalid credentials. Okay, so this authentication form will actually take a request. Okay, so this will first take a request, and then it will take the post data. Okay, now it should be working. Okay, so we got many errors. Let's see again. Okay, login, and I can see the it is logged in. Okay, so that's how you log into the system. Again, I just want to show you the code. See, when you get the request post, then you initialize this authentication form. Okay, so I did a mistake. I initialized registration form. Okay, so this authentication form will actually take a request, and also it will take a request post. Okay, so this request post will actually have the post data, that means the username and password. Okay, so if the form is valid, then we are taking username and password using this cleaned data. All right, so once we have the username and password, then we are using that username and password with this authenticate function that will return the user. So this authenticate function will return none if the user with this username and password does not exist. Okay, so if it exists, it will return the user. Okay, now we are checking if the user is not none. Okay, so that means this username and password exist in the database. Then we are logging that user in using this login function, auth.login function. Okay, so that's how you log in. And next, what you have to do, you're logged in, but you are still seeing this login and register button, right? So that should not happen. If you are logged in, then you should have to log out, right? So in the next video, we'll take care of the logout button.